All right. What is going on, everybody? Needs more drums back in City Skylines in our city that we're actually going to name today. So, super excited about that. And yeah, a lot of it still looks incomplete. I know we're still kind of pretty early in development, but give it time and it'll start to look a lot better. So, today I want to do two things. First of all, this is not going to be a time lapse build. This is just going to be another kind of, how much stuff can we get done in 30 minutes type of build. And, I got my timer. I'm ready to go. So the first thing that I want to do, most importantly, is I want to name the city. And thank you guys so much for all the name suggestions. They are awesome. And I do read your comments. I know I mentioned that in the last video. I do read your comments. So I have seen everybody's suggestions. And more likely than not, your suggestion will be in the city somewhere at some point. But I did decide for the name of the city, Los Baterias. And that is because it literally means the drummers in Spanish. And I think I spelled it right, but it's weird, not being able to do like the, I don't know, to do all the accent marks and everything. But yeah, I like that name. I think it's kind of cool. Maybe kind of goes back to an old ancient civilization that once lived in this coastal area. Goes back to some ancient civilization that maybe pioneered some old rhythms, that are more used in drumming today. I mean, I don't know. You never know. Imagination is fun. But yeah, I like that kind of idea for the cities, or for at least the name for the region. And for the city, for like the downtown, I want to kind of maybe have a few, a lot of districts and some other, maybe a different city as we expand in the future. But at least for the name of this, whatever this downtown big main city is going to be, somebody suggested the name Percussion, and I really, really like that a lot. So that is going to be, actually, this is going to be downtown. Eventually, it's going to be downtown Percussion. And then I'm thinking maybe we can have, a West Percussion and Percussion Hills or something like that. So we're gonna go with that for the name of the main city in the Los Baterias region. And because I love drums, we're gonna name everything. Well, not everything, but we're gonna have a lot of drum related stuff. So keep the name suggestions coming. I like them a lot, and it's always good to get your input because I can only think of so many things. So now that we've done that, let's jump into the next main thing that I want to do. We are going to solve a huge problem that is going on. Always happens to me in my early games. Something that I always struggle with is finding enough ways to process our trash. So I got my build timer started, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to relocate this whole landfill. I know I said originally that I wanted this to be actually, I'm going to pause the game because our people are complaining about garbage and it's only going to pile up even worse. So yeah, the thing with this is that I wanted this to be kind of like a waste processing area, but given the scale of the city and the region, that's probably not going to work. One, it's not going to be enough space, and two, I eventually want to push some of this industry out. I always like to have my cities, or at least this one in particular, have this kind of grow organically. So, buying up the tiles and expanding the map, and that makes it really, it brings an extra challenge of not, well, we are pre-planning to an extent. Cities do grow and change and develop over time, and so, a lot of industrial areas such as this, over time, this might kind of be pushed out to a further spot that's more the outskirts of the city, and will be replaced with some residential or commercial, or what I like to do, maybe even like a university or a sports complex or something of that nature. So the first step, now that we have these tiles over here, I would like to start pushing some of this industry almost into this area. For example, I'm thinking this might be a better spot down here for a water treatment facility, and we can, with all this undeveloped land, we can do something on a bigger scale that we don't need to upgrade later. And so I thought the same thing with the landfill and our whatever we decide to do with our garbage processing. I'd like to put that, I'm thinking, up here in this area. I know it's kind of close to a river, but this I've already kind of established as where I want to put the all the ore and the mining industry. And so having sort of this industrial area around this river won't be the worst thing. I kind of want to I'll keep the landfill, you know, a little bit further inland. So, you know, we don't want to pollute the water. Not that it matters in this game, but just kind of thinking of, you know, what a urban planner would consider. And I know, you know, given the technology nowadays with building landfills, there's so much technology that goes into it, all these different layers that you have to put down to protect the soil before you even can put garbage on top of it. So everything, you know, it's a little bit more planned out now than it used to be. We're not just dumping trash in the grass anymore. It's very, you know, engineered properly and everything, so don't have to worry so much about that. But yeah, so let me put the game on play and kind of get started here as we do this. Hopefully garbage won't pile up too much. But yeah, so I always like to make sort of a... First, let me clear out some of these trees. And I kind of like to make complexes a lot. I know somebody called me out on that in one of the comments in one of the earlier videos. But yeah, it is true. You know, I like a lot of complexes in my cities, either high schools or, you know, museum complexes and all that type of stuff. So let's first get rid of this. Okay, so now we can start planning out our area here. So I want to first get a road in here. We'll probably use this one since it's more of a, don't want any parking obviously. Or you know what, how about we just, there we go. Nice little industrial road there. And I'm thinking, yeah, I don't want to go all the way up to the water just for the sake of, you know, keeping that area kind of nice and non-polluted. So we're going to do, let's put this, bring it over a little more, leave some room for maybe a tree line and something else that might be, give us a nice little barrier between that road. Also, always kind of like to smooth out some of the terrain. Since this is going to be a larger scale development, obviously this terrain will probably be a little bit flatter. All right, so now let's get our landfill in place. I think I'm just going to put one, and I want to kind of keep this away from the water as much as possible. So I'll put one there. I'm thinking I'm probably going to have a second one as well. So let's do another one on this side. And then when we get the money, I do want to put down, oh, we can actually have an incineration plant now. Oh, that's not bad. I do want to put down a recycling center just so we can start to process some of the trash that we're dumping in our landfill. And for the time being, we're going to empty out that guy and let that, you know, do its thing. And here, let's see, I always like to choose my garbage trucks. These are great assets, you know. I always like to have a lot of vehicles. Just, you know, it kind of helps with the realism for me. And, you know, I think some of the vanilla ones look kind of goofy. So yeah, so for now, we're going to do this. And then I think I got to make a forest brush for this. All right, now we kind of have at least a nice little barrier of trees there that will, you know, kind of hide that from the road. We don't want people to see our massive piles of trash over here. But yeah, so for now, actually, we do have the money now, so let's go ahead and put down a little recycling center here as well. I think I'll make this, give it its own little area over here. Do this like so. Perfect. And then these, I'll have a different garbage truck. As always, let's put down some parking for our employees. I forgot. These guys need power and water too. Uh-oh. I'm gonna have to run some power lines all the way over here, which we actually haven't. Wow, okay, yeah, we need to get those over there from all the way over here. Okay, cool, great. So this is gonna be fun and expensive. All right, got our power hooked up. Good to go. And made a little bit of money. Just had the game on fast forward for a little bit. And so now, yeah, I think we still don't really have enough cash to start building our mining industry. And I'd hate to take out a loan for that. I think that might, that kind of warrants having its own video. So I think we're going to wait on that for now. But yeah, for the time being, the sample is emptying. Great. Very happy about that. We don't want that anymore. And these guys we'll just leave for now. Again, don't really, actually I don't think I need. Oh yeah, I got this handy little mod here called Watch It, I believe, which gives you you can quickly see, instead of having to go individually into each of the panels here, you can quickly see the status of some, key factors in your city, such as, power, sewage, water, education, healthcare, fire department, etc., etc. So I like that a lot. It is very helpful to just kind of look, and I can see when I need a new power plant or some more water. So I would highly recommend getting that. Yeah, in the meantime, I kind of want to leave this area open too for some, maybe I always kind of like to, since this is probably going to be our port area, I like to have a little bit of a buffer between major industry like that and then, the rest of the town, the residential areas and such. So, maybe I'll put a stadium or something there, kind of something to break up the, have a nice barrier between that. But for now, I think we're going to do a little bit more suburban expansion just in real time, because why not? So I love these suburban streets. I always use these. And actually, this main road, we could probably extend. We can probably extend this out to connect up to this one here, which will give us a nice, unique type of shape, just so that we don't have to build some kind of awkward junction. That'll be a little bit better. So yeah, maybe this, will be another little park. Actually, I think that's exactly what we're going to do. I tried to keep this series a little bit lighter with mods and assets compared to what I usually have, but I couldn't help myself with some trees and other bushes and everything like that. I think those little assets like these really help kind of give some variety into your city. And there's some really nice trees and everything on the workshop that I just always love to have. Just some of these eucalyptus trees, for example. And they go really nicely with these new vanilla trees that we were given for free as part of the airports DLC. I mean, these things are awesome. So I love having, being able to have some more variety in my parks and open grass areas with some of these new trees that we got. All right, so that's looking pretty good. I think that's going to be a nice park as we develop this little area here. So let's get started with that. And again, kind of this nice little forest area is very cool, because we could honestly keep it and have a nice little barrier between that and the industrial area that is going to be right behind it. So for now, I think I'm just going to have a couple of main roads. We'll drag out one maybe here, kind of following this tree line, give us some interesting shapes for our landscape. Yeah, so we're gonna have this probably go that way. That looks really nice. I like that a lot. So I'm also trying to think, you know, when I was thinking about this industrial area, sort of where I want to plan a cargo station for our trains. I'm thinking probably right here might be a good spot, but we'll see. Maybe have it like a distribution hub here and then have all the industry going on up here, because this, you know, separated again by these tree lines and it kind of sits in this valley. So this might be a great area to have some rail infrastructure, and then we could also use that and have some warehouses here and some storage facilities. So with that being said, let's go ahead and keep building out these suburbs here. This is a nice big area to fill in, and I think we'll just, for now, since I really don't have a better idea, we'll just go ahead and extend this district out through here. Actually, you know what? I take it back. I want to make this new because I want to make it the put some different houses in here. And so that'll give us some nice variety in our buildings. I kind of like these mid-century modern, and I think for, you know, the suburbs like this, where it might be a little more distant from the downtown, you know, we have the opportunity to have some more nicer and more modern buildings in this area. So we're going to go with that for now. Now, laying out our streets, we'll stick to a relatively straightforward grid layout for most of it, but not all of it. I think this is, you know, one of those areas where we could kind of, you know, make something a little different compared though to the rest of our city. So I want to go off of this main road here instead of having it follow the other grid from the other different areas. And then since this is a main road here, I kind of want to keep that a little bit more available and probably have some commercial zones there. So we're going to keep that relatively free. I think we'll have this guy go up to here and connect there, but I don't really want to make a connection. Actually, you know what? We're just going to make a connection there and not here. About that. And then we'll have this connection here instead. Always want to try to limit the amount of connections that I make. Don't want to overdo it because that can cause a lot of traffic issues later on. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Now let me go ahead and think about where I want to put my zones here. This might be the first area where I actually deliberately put down some high density zones. And that being said, I want to change my themes to match. Let's make sure I actually have a high density theme in here. And for those of you that are thinking, oh my gosh, this city looks so ugly. Ugh, there are no trees. It looks so dead. they're coming. And the reason that I'm waiting on that is because I wanted to wait for a little bit and kind of let the city develop a little more before I went in and detailed some of the smaller areas. So as soon as we expand all the way kind of out to some of the edges of our the tiles that we have available, then I'll go back and start doing some of the, you know, more intricate detail work, especially once we start getting down some of the higher density zones and, you know, replacing some of the low density with the high density. Then we can go back and detail those areas, because those are pretty much gonna not change after that. But I didn't want to do it just yet because I feel like some of these, well, most of these areas are probably gonna change, at least in terms of the zones that are there. So then that, you know, creates like, it's kind of wasting my time, and I don't want to have to go back and redetail a bunch of areas and, you know, delete all the trees and everything that I already put down. So while that's developing, I think we can kind of, I know we don't, it's a shame that you don't get trains until 6,000, which I know we're super close, but I'd like to kind of plan out where my trains are going to be. So I think this is going to be where our cargo station is going to be. And the reason I like this is because any truck that comes through here I think we'll have to upgrade this road later on, but we can upgrade this road and make it into more of a highway, and that way the trucks can easily bypass the downtown if they're coming from this industry over here, if they're coming from the farms, and especially if they're going to be up here in the ore industry, they can bypass this downtown on the north side here and just go straight into the cargo depot without actually having to drive through all of these congested main streets. And that's why I notice a lot of times there's, you know, bigger distribution hubs just outside of major downtown areas. I know, like I said, you know, I'm from around Chicago, and that's a big thing. There's a huge UPS distribution center just outside the city. In one of the suburbs, there's a huge Amazon distribution center. So that's very common to see that. So I think we're going to kind of do something similar here. And so for now, I think I'll just kind of say, you know, hey, this is where I want my railroad tracks to go. Lay that out like so, and we'll have a cargo station here, and then that way trains can divert from here. And then I'm hoping to kind of leave this junction here so that trains can also come to and from the port right into the cargo area. And it might be a little bit busy with all the trains, but then again, I think it'll be all right. So shouldn't be too much of a problem. Just for now, we'll just plan out some of the roads here. To see kind of the terrain that we're working with, which seems to be a little hillier than I thought, but I think we'll just have to flatten some of that out, and, you know, it won't be a problem. Yeah, and as soon as we get some more capital in our bank account, we can start to invest in our mining area over here. And I'll probably make the headquarters right here or so, and we'll have, you know, some different areas, maybe some of the bigger the actual extraction going on more up here in this valley, and then some of the processing going on down here by the river. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I think that's what we're going to be focusing on here. That's pretty high right there. So we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that once we get a little bit more money. But in the meantime, keep an eye on our commercial zone. I always like to keep my commercial zone to about 50% if possible. So again, you don't want to overzone commercial, because then you'll run into unemployment. But if you don't zone enough, then your industry won't be able to sell their goods. So there's a happy medium, and usually that's right about keeping it kind of right at 50%. So we're in a very nice spot now. Gives us enough leeway if we want to expand into another area. We could do that and not have the repercussions of, you know, too much commercial zone. And actually, I'm going to demolish this street and just turn this into residential here, and I'll plop a commercial zone down there too. So that should be pretty good for this spot. And I'll actually do the same thing right here. Cool. So yeah, so we're gonna actually I need to expand this district out there though, so that it actually develops. But yeah, so that just about concludes this episode. thank you guys so much for the support. And yeah, the amount of new subscribers and new views that this channel has gotten just since, you know, I put the series up. It's so awesome. So thank you guys for the support and the continued support of the channel. We still have tons to do in the city. So please go ahead and follow along and leave a comment if you have any suggestions, name suggestions, city suggestions, what I should do. Yeah, I do read your comments. So thank you again, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.